doing the hurricane thing, and now we're live. And
All right.
hey guys, how you doing out there? Me and Doug here just getting ready to start the show. Say hi, Doug.
Hey guys, happy Friday Eve.
So this is the studio. This is First Note Production Studios, and this is the Weathered Soul podcast. And like I said, if you saw my Facebook Live video earlier, you heard that I was thanking some people for the influence that they had in making me do this podcast. And I'm happy to say that that Doug's going to be here for the duration now. And if you just give us a minute, and we'll start this podcast the traditional way. All right.
All right.
Okay. For best results, squeeze from the bottom up. You've got Bruce the Weathered Soul on the Weathered Soul podcast, live from First Note Production Studios in Gilroy, California. How you guys doing today? It's another Thursday night. It's what did you call it?
Friday Eve.
Friday Eve. Dougie's here. Weathered Soul Dougie. How you been, man?
I've been good.
It's good to have you back, dude. I'm so glad that you
Absolutely.
came back and decided to come back and be a part of the Souls, and I welcome you, man. And
Thanks.
I know it's been a while. How you been, man?
I've been good.
Good. What's been going on with you?
Same old thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing my project management studies and doing my solar designs, and
Cool.
we have a bathroom renovation going on at the house right now. It's a lot of fun. I've got all the tiles in, just a little grouting, and then get to rebuild the inside.
See, we're two regular guys, and that's just the way it is. Yeah, I ended up all weekend just putting Christmas away, and I know it's a couple weeks in the January already, but we're going through our California winter. You know, if you've been listening, we're here in Gilroy, California, the garlic capital of the world, and we're in the middle of our we have 2 weeks of winter a year or something like that.
Yeah,
about 2 weeks of winter a year.
Well, I wouldn't even call it winter.
Yeah, it's rough right
Yeah.
now. I mean, we had 2 inches of rain in the last couple of days. It's terrible.
Where I grew up in Connecticut, they would call our worst storm a nice day.
It's a terrible, terrible thing that we have here in California. I'm telling you, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it through until it gets sunny out again.
But the only time we wouldn't go out to play is if it was so bad that trees might fall on us.
That's so good. So, yeah, my weekend was pretty good, full. We actually went out for the first time, and some of you guys have followed me on Facebook, Cooking Finney Tree, and that was at the 88 Keys Cafe in Morgan Hill. Had a great time. Played a couple of original songs that I wrote, and then I actually got them up dancing. And surprise, I went like, whoa, okay. I broke into a little Elvis, and they got up to dance, man. I was like, okay, well, I was nervous before, and now I'm really nervous.
Right, now they're going to expect this.
So please keep drinking, and I'll sound better. And then I ended up doing the rendition of "Ooh La La" by Faces, and that got the crowd going pretty good too. But it was a really fun night, man. I love doing the open mics, and hopefully that's going to keep going. There's another open mic that's happening on Wednesday nights at 88 Keys, and that's Chris and friends that came over from the GVA, and it's just really fun, dude. So it's one of those things I keep wanting to do, and I keep putting away because I keep getting ideas like this, doing a podcast that get in the way of my music writing and stuff. But you guys are all invited anytime you guys want to come by. If you're listening to me in the South Bay or in Gilroy, Morgan Hill, Hollister, South San Jose, come on down to 88 Keys on Wednesday night from 6 o'clock until 10 o'clock, and they'll put you on stage, and you can play your guitar and bring a trumpet or whatever you want to do, and you can just do what you do, boo-boo.
It's a nice open forum.
It is a nice open forum. So, man, it's been pretty freaking interesting the last couple of days, man. You know, I been I really don't want to lean heavily political on the podcast, but I've got to do news of the day, and you know, number one in your face right now is just this shutdown, but more interesting than the shutdown right now is the little teenage spat that's going on between Nancy Pelosi and Donald Trump. You know, so I don't know if you've been I mean, unless you've been living in a closet, you know that Nancy Pelosi on Monday or Tuesday requested that the president delay the State of the Union address, and then President Trump, in his teenage little 14-year-old, my butt hurt manner, turns around on today. He counsels one of Nancy Pelosi's trips into the Middle East. So they're playing this little tip for it can't be any more childish than what it's getting now.
Right.
And it's really just,
it's gone past sophomoric. Now it is absolutely just childish.
It's absolutely childish. And it's funny. I mean, you know, when Nancy Pelosi came out with that statement, I mean, that was something that a libertarian would love that. I mean, as a libertarian, I had to love what Nancy Pelosi said. Because number one, it's just like the State of the Union address is a huge spectacle. I mean, for at least with Trump, but a lot of the times with Obama, it's just like they make it this huge stage, and it's almost like a red carpet going in, and it's just this great big network freaking elephant, and it is hilarious.
I like the way they did it on Green Acres, the State of the State statement.
Well, the fact is that if it does get canceled or moved out, it'll be the first time that they haven't had a State of the Union since 1950, from what I understand. That's how long it's been going on, and it's just been rolling into this ball of a spectacle more and more. I mean, with you know the what do they call those after the rebuttals to the
Right,
yeah. I mean, those sometimes are just as interesting, depending on what side you're on. And but I had a responder today that gave me a little angry face on my accepting of Nancy's recommendation that the State of the Union be canceled. But then I rebutted too back to that, because basically what both of these people are doing is just political grandstanding, and 800,000 workers, you know, and I don't actually agree with all the workers that are. Is that a helicopter? Oh, we got a helicopter going by. The door's open to the studio. We need a studio. But anyway, you've got 800,000 workers furloughed or, you know, working without pay. And even though I don't agree that we need all those employees, and I just want to tell you guys about the number 30 is coming up, because 30 is a real pivotal number of days when the shutdown is going on. But, you know, I don't believe that we should have that big of a non-essential people working for the government. Now, a lot of them are overseas, and some of them are military and stuff like that. And we need some essential employees, and there's some essential employees that are not working. So we need to get those guys back to work. And, you know, I don't give a shit about freaking Donald Trump's wall, and that might offend some of you guys that follow me on Facebook. That's too bad. I'm not for the wall, but in the same token, you know, I'm not for Nancy Pelosi and Chucky Schumer's antics on not wanting to negotiate or something like that. Something's got to give somewhere, and you know, if Congress would get you know, their balls back, I think that they could just override Trump if they really wanted to and open up the government. I mean,
which they should.
I mean, the checks and balances are not working right now, and that's the problem.
And we all have to realize that this came about because of some of Trump's media pundits.
Are you saying that they steer Donald Trump whichever way they want to go?
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, really, who is in charge of my country?
Well, definitely not Rush Limbaugh, and definitely not Fox News. But I think that he watches a lot of TV. Let's just put it that way.
Right, and also most of his base watches that kind of TV too.
Right.
You know, I don't think there's too many, you know, avid Trump supporters watching MSNBC. They don't want to hear what Rachel Maddow has to say.
Yeah. Well, I know that you listen to Rachel Maddow. I don't listen to any of them, so I was just I try to be. I try to listen. I tried listening one time, and I couldn't even. It's so bad that I can't listen to Hannity. I can't listen to if I don't have to see you. I think that's the thing, because I can listen to podcasts.
I think the thing is you pick one of them and listen to them, and that's it, because you don't have to listen to anything else afterwards, because if they have 12 hours or 24 hours of television that repeats over and over, and they have 6 or 7 different shows, and every one of them is talking about the same exact thing with 3 or 4 people. And a lot of times those people overlap.
Mm-hmm. Right. Oh yeah. It's a total screaming match.
Yeah. So it's like you hear the same thing over and over and over. It's like, how long can you stand to listen to the same thing over and over?
It's like that all the time, man, and that's why I can't stand it. But I listen to guys like Mark Levine. Sometimes I listen to Savage, but he's getting just over. Actually, a lot of them are getting over the top these days, and it's really about entertainment and stuff. I'm really stuck on Don Bongino right now. He's got the total different take on what's going on with the Mueller investigations and stuff like that. And it's just like, if you ever really want the other side of the story, that if you were a detective and you were actually putting those lines in between pictures of all the people that were involved, Dan Bongino takes all those other ones and connects them to the other dots. And it's a real interesting a story that he's got there. And it makes sense. Some of the stuff that he's saying does make sense. But anyway, we're going to get off that subject and go right into the show, because I really didn't want to spend a whole lot of time with the government stuff. I want to kind of lighten it up here on the show.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Hey,
yeah. And the country will continue.
Yes, the sun will come up tomorrow. Yes. And we have the government we deserve. So I think that's the biggest thing that I want to say when I quote anything. It's just like we have the government we deserve, because we're the ones that are voting these fucking idiots in. I mean, that's really what it is. And if more people would just get out there and freaking exercise their right to vote, and other people would stop gerrymandering the freaking districts to weigh the outcomes one way or the other, and quit making it so hard to vote. I mean, that's just one of make that's those simple. 3 things. Yeah, make it simple. Oh yeah, and I like the new one thing that I like about the new Democrat plan is that they want to do they've got this bill out. I can't remember what the number is. Has a bunch of stuff I didn't agree with. I think it was the Corruption Act or something like that. Was that the Anti-Corruption Act? Came out a week ago or something like that. But one of the things that they want to do is make the national holiday for day of vote, and I'm all for that.
Absolutely,
absolutely for that. But
and the bars should be open.
Well, if anybody had heard the sound of like a pet door going in and out of here, it's because my dogs have free reign in the house, and of course I didn't lock the doggy door, so they're in and out of here. But I love dogs, man.
They're entitled to their opinion.
They're so cool, man. I just love pets, and I would imagine that most people have pets out there. I know that you have a couple of. Well, you've got. Are any of those cats that you have yours?
You mean like natural born?
Like natural born yours. No, you actually went and picked up and brought back to the house.
Callie was a kitten when we got her. Yeah, the 19-year-old. The other 3 we've acquired as adults.
Oh, okay.
They were 2 or 3 years old each when we got them. Yeah, and the male cats, they're kind of part-time.
Yeah, you've got one that belongs to somebody else, right? And he just hangs out at your house now.
Well, cats will do that.
Yeah.
If they're not happy where they are, they'll split.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially male cats. I mean, I know people that were lamenting a loss of a cat for months and months and months, and then one day driving home from the grocery store, see it laying in their neighbor's yard. It's like, you bastard.
Unfortunately, the dogs, on the other hand, at least my dogs, never get out of the house unless I'm walking them, and they got to be on the leash, so they don't have the liberty. I guess I'm kind of like a dictator here.
I think it has a lot to do with the way they're raised. our first two cats, like Callie, now she's too old to climb the fence, but when her and her sister were young enough to climb the fence, we had a netting system to keep them in the yard so they couldn't get out and other cats couldn't get in. We told them when they were old enough to understand that they weren't going to be street cats.
Mm-hmm.
And the only time they ever got out the front door was for like an escorted walk. Like they wouldn't go out on their own. We'd be there with them. Now the older cats, they're used to being able to come and go. And if we put up cat fencing to lock them in, they would just find a way to tear through it.
Yeah, we got a bunch of neighborhood cats. We got 3 cats next door that just roam the neighborhood. There's a couple cats that are down the street that they come out this way and they just antagonize the dogs.
Yeah,
and stuff
yeah.
Like that, so.
And I noticed that the male cats have kind of got themselves stations down the road. So there's one at the corner of Swanner, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so he takes like the first 3 houses up, and then we've got our Tabby, and he takes like 3 houses around us, and then the black and white cat, he goes like 4 houses down, and he gets those 3 houses. And that's where they hang out all day. They come in, they eat, they sleep for a while, a couple hours, and they go back out. They go sit in somebody else's yard.
Too funny.
Yeah, it is.
Well, a vast comparison to what I have with Sassy and Yogi here. I've got my Schnauzer, and I've got my Yorkshire Terrier, and they're funny dogs, but they never get out. Couldn't let them out because they'd freak.
They're not street smart.
Yeah, they have no street smarts. No, the dogs are. Give me let me have a bone and throw the ball.
Go for a ride.
Go for a ride. They're happy as hell. I watched Joe Rogan last night on Netflix, his last special that he put out, and he does a great thing about cats. Well, not too much about dogs, but about cats. But the whole thing is that my dogs are spoiled as hell, man. They get to sleep on the bed, and Sassy, who Sass, they're both rescue. Well, actually, I'll take that back. Sassy's a rescue because I rescue, but and then Yogi actually came from a friend of mine who had an accidental litter of I want to call them Yorkies, a Yorkawawa or whatever you want to call that. A Chorky or a Chorky. There we go. Yeah. But he's got a lot of. I mean, Mom was like purebred freaking Yorkie, so yeah, he's got a lot of Yorkie in him. He's got a lot of Yorkie in him. But Sassy, the rescue, man, she's cost a lot of money, man. She costs a lot of money. She's a Schnauzer Terrier, and they're notorious for bad skin. But first day I picked her up was after one of our other dogs passed away, and we went. And then $850 later, the next day, I go to pick her up at the vet, and she had everything under the sun, man. She's a parvo survivor. Think about that. The most dogs that get parvo, don't last very long, and she had every parasite under the. When we got her, they they said the vet had looked at her, but there was no way. I mean, and luckily somebody picked up her son and adopted her the same day, and hopefully they got her in time because Sassy had parvo and the other dog had parvo too, so just not a good thing. But she's alive 7 years later, 8 years later, still running around here, and then Yogi is the one that is attached to my hip most of the time, and he'll be out here about 8:00 looking at me, probably wanting to jump up here and going like, Dad, it's time to go to bed.
Yogi's one of those small dogs that doesn't know he's small.
But I would say that you don't take the cats anywhere, do you?
Only to the vet.
Only to the vet.
Yeah, screaming the whole way.
So see my dogs, when I'm here during the weekend, they know when Friday comes. They're 5 days. They know when Dad comes home on Friday, man. It's just like, it's the weekend time.
Yeah.
It's the weekend time. Where's Dad? It's the weekend. And the reason why is because I take them places. They know that on the weekend it's just like, when Dad goes, we go.
I have taken cats on road trips.
Oh, have you now?
Right.
Is it interesting?
It is. It takes them a few days to get used to it, but then they're fine. When I was in college, we'd go on, we'd have whatever Thanksgiving vacation. We'd pack up the truck with camping gear and throw a litter box in the back and the cats.
I couldn't even imagine.
Yeah, we had a pass-through window and put a tire inner tube between the cap and the cab to make a seal.
Okay, so the cat won't
Cats,
fall through.
yeah, and we wouldn't get all wind and stuff, right?
Right.
Rain and whatever. We're
Right.
driving all year, and yeah, it was great. The cats would get used to it. They'd be, pooping at 70 miles an hour and
Right.
eating and drinking and sitting up on the dashboard. The only thing was, you didn't want them to get, like down between your feet or anything. But yeah, it was all right.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
do get used to it. Animals do adapt.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Well, Sassy and Yogi are just the same, man. They're ready to freaking go every time I open that door, and the best thing they can do is to put out their face out in the wind and catch the wind all the time, and they love doing that. But there's a lot of times when we're going out to eat or something like that. We
Yeah.
got the dogs, and they actually have menus for dogs out at some of the places that we go to, and I like this. This one website that I go to that comes through Facebook all the time, and it's iHeartDogs.com.
Just as long as it's carry out.
Most of it is carry out. So written by Adriana Sandoval from iHeartDogs.com. I go there a lot. If you ever want to find out a lot about dogs and different resources, this is a great resource for pets, and they have, I'm sure they have an iCats or a iHeart Cats, but who likes cats? Oh, I'm sorry, you like cats. So they do have some menus out there, just so you know. So like if you're one of those ones that like to go to Starbucks and take your dog and sit there, they got what they call a puppuccino. And if you're at Starbucks drive-through and you have your pooch in tow, add a puppuccino to your order. And no, it's not coffee, because coffee is bad for your pup. Coffee is bad for everybody. And a little whipped cream in a small cup. And that's what they call a puppuccino. So just make sure that your dog, isn't lactose intolerant.
Or you have a short ride home.
Exactly. All you guys that go to In-N-Out Burger, dogs love burgers just like humans. Only you shouldn't be eating all those extra toppings. No dogs put extra toppings, because that'll send you home real quick too. But they have what they call a puppy patty or a pup patty. So next time you're in there for your double, go ahead and get your doggy a little pup patty. I was wondering if they have any of the stuff for cats. I mean, I know cats aren't like the norm out there, but I have seen cats on leashes out on walks.
Yeah. I've seen cats without leashes out on walks. No, really. I just saw that the other day.
And now we don't have these in California. I don't think we do. I've never heard of Sprinkles cupcakes before, but you're from back east, so
no, I've never heard of them either.
Okay, well, Sprinkles knows that everybody loves fresh baked goodies, and even dogs, and that's why they make a tasty cupcake that are safe for canine consumption. They're sugar free and complete with a layer of yogurt frosting. So they get pretty fancy at some of these places. At Handel's Homemade Ice Cream and Yogurt, you can also get your pup a cool snack. They'll give you a peanut butter or mint flavored ice cream for them, a frozen treat, and it's vet approved. At a place called Rock and Brews, love music and beer and dogs. Chain friendly as some locations offering a special dog menu. They offer dishes that include roast chicken, unsalted burger, sweet potatoes, and even Fido friendly non-alcoholic beer. That's the first time I've ever heard about that, because I haven't really read this article.
A lot of dogs like beer because
that is too funny.
It's it's got a lot of carbohydrates in it.
At the Shake Shack, you can get your dog a thing called a bag of bones, and also they have a peanut butter sundae with dog biscuits. So that's at the Shake Shack. Johnny Rockets, which we have here. I've been to a couple of Johnny Rockets. They also have a burger that you can get. And Dairy Queen, the Dairy Queen, which we always, do we have any Dairy Queens left around here? I know we got a Foster's.
I don't know, but
we have a Foster's freeze in Gilroy. I know that, but I haven't seen a Dairy Queen in a while.
No DQs.
But they have a little ice cream cone that you can get them there. At Culver's, they have a custard style doggy treat. At Sonic, you can get your dog a doggy burger. At Chick-fil-A, which I've never been, I think we have a couple of Chick-fil-A's here in town. and looks like they have offers a snack for all passengers. So Dunkin' Donuts also gives you a handy treat with a whipped cream in a cup. Lazy Dog Cafe and Le Pain Quotidien is a bakery, locations worldwide with patios are dog friendly. Bark posts explain that some of these doggy treats within customers reach, or if not, the wait staff will be happy to throw a dog a bone. So that's what they got for the doggies, man. It's incredible.
One thing, most of these are for drive-through.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
would imagine so.
They do signify that it's, you know, when you drive through, if you want to. But a few of them didn't say that, so I wonder if, you know, they're
Well,
allowing
I mean-
dogs into the dining room where they have a special pet-friendly dining room.
Well, they've got, you know, Carmel's. There's, you know, a lot of places, Carmel, Moss Landing, and stuff like that. Real dog friendly. So I've seen.
Good, as
I've
long as they keep the kids out.
I've actually seen the doggies in the restaurants, dude. I have.
I have too.
So I'm not kidding there. So it's
Even the ones that have signs on the door that say no pets.
I know that bugs you, man. Why don't you tell us about your story about why you don't like Home Depot and dogs in Home Depot?
Well, no, I don't have a problem with dogs in Home Depot, other than, you know, they may defecate or drop some sort of worm or flea or something on me, because you don't know how people, you know, what the hygiene of other people's pets are. That's number. But what bugs me is they have a sign on the door. It says no smoking and it says no pets. Okay, so if they're going to let people walk around with dogs, then they should let people smoke or change the sign. That's all.
Well, yeah,
Those things bug me, man. I'm sorry. It's who I am.
we have no doubt that we all have our differences that way. So, but again, this discussion about the intelligence of animals. I mean, you know, I joke about my dogs all the time, but they are pretty smart. I mean, you know, your cats, I'm sure, they're more intelligent than dogs by far.
They're very covert.
They're more covert than a dog. Yeah, absolutely. A dog's
very direct.
Yeah, a dog's just like,
I want something.
I want to come over here. I want something. Come over here. Squirrel.
A cat's like, I'm going to sit here with my back to you until you figure it out. Or you're going to get a surprise.
Right. I think that's what Joe Rogan was talking about that last night. So it's hilarious if you ever want to go see, get up on Netflix and check out Joe Rogan's new comedy act. It's pretty freaking cool. But yeah, so ran across this article from Disc Love TV. I think that's what it's called. Discovery or Disclove TV. So disclovetv.com. And they have written an article about the intelligence of animals, and that there may be some creatures on this earth that are more intelligent than humans. And I'll just read a little bit. And it says, it's long been known that humans are very intelligent, often thought as the most intelligent. However, there could be something far more intelligent that blows us humans out of the water. Quite a lot of people think that the answer to the question is yes, but what is it though? So what's more intelligent than humans? So a study from last year, 2018, suggests that dolphins are highly intelligent creatures, so much so that they might surpass human intelligence in some respects. One of those ways is being self-aware. And the study was used to mirror self-recognition MSR tests, which basically consist of presenting a mirror to the test subject and seeing how long it takes them to recognize themselves. So when presented with the mirror, human infants aren't usually able to recognize themselves until they are around 12 months old, 1 year. Bottlenose dolphins, on the other hand, are able to recognize themselves at just 7 months old. And the experiment was done on both male and female dolphins to get a range of the results. So it's fascinating about the intelligence of animals, and I know a lot of them is a mimic response, but there are some very intelligent animals out there. Sassy's not one of them, but
You don't think so, huh? I think she's smarter than you think.
But it comes to mind, and I've always wanted to have this discussion with somebody, so I'm going to bounce it off you. We talked about it earlier. And I'm all for the intelligence of animals, and how, humans have their intelligence or lack of thereof, and just how the natural world works. And we're going to get a little political here, but we're going to try to keep it as low as possible. But everybody thinks that they have rights, and I'm a libertarian, and I believe in inalienable rights, the rights of the just natural rights. We wrote into a constitution and a bill of rights what our inalienable rights are. Of course, that's a piece of paper, a law, or if you want to say that it can be. Oh, excuse me. But really, what kind of that's our new booms and all these springs that are coming in. Anything that hits, they just reverberates through the springs all the way through to the.
Don't they use springs and guitars for reverb?
Exactly. So I have a new instrument here.
Just got to learn how to play it.
Right. But what real rights do we have? I mean, I thought about it one morning, and I was thinking about, I just listened to a podcast of Jason Stapleton. He was talking about positive and negative rights as it applies to libertarians, and the concept of positive and negative rights are like, when you get up in the morning, you have the right to breathe air. That's a negative right. That's a right that doesn't shine negativity on anybody, unless you have bad breath and you're breathing into somebody's face. But and then a positive right is something that you either have to have somebody do for you, or you pay for it, or you're taxed, but whatever. So a positive right versus a negative right. And within that shell, people have certain rights, and then anything else should either be voluntary, or you should be paying for it, or trading, bartering, whatever the case may be, because that's what intelligent beings do.
So a negative right is something that, let's say, is innate or goes without saying, whereas a positive right is something that's granted to you by society. Is
granted to you by somebody you're buying something from, a service from,
right? Which is all because of society.
All because of society,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Right. So,
because that's the big difference between the human animal and every other animal is the way our herd or tribe or whatever you want to call it works.
Is it?
Yes.
Is it?
Well, to most extent. Yes. It's way overthought. It's way overthought. In nature, things happen and they're accepted.
But I argue that. I argue that as wise humans have a right for a place to live, a home, to rent a home, or even have a tent.
There's no right. I don't.
Okay. Lots of people call them rights. Let's say that the majority of people call them right to be able to have a home, have food in their house. There's a lot of people that don't, but I'm saying here in the United States, where everybody has a right. We have a right for healthcare. We have a right for this. We have a right for that. Well, you know what? When a bird or a bee wakes up in the morning, what right do they have?
Right.
That right used to be just, you used to have to get up in the morning and survive.
Right. And I have made observations on it.
So based on your intelligence, because you're more intelligent, does that give you dominion over the world and how the world is handled and taken care of and just done? I mean, I don't know if you understand where I think you understand where I'm going with this.
As society grows, norms are established, and those norms set up basically what your rights and laws, that you need to live by in that society are.
Okay, but are those laws or those norms stronger than nature's norm?
For humans, they are.
See, that's where I have a problem with that. And it's not I have a problem with that politically. I have a problem with the logic that happens to learning that. Okay, because we're conscious.
Yes.
Because we have a high intelligence, because we develop technology, because we've done this and we've done that, which, of course, if you're reading this article, then dolphins are more intelligent in some ways than humans are. So because they don't have fingers and toes and stuff like that, they can't develop technology, or could they? Who knows? they're in
They have a different gig.
and they have a different gig. Exactly.
All right. They have different things to worry about.
Right. But don't
And
we
they do have a society.
okay.
There's a hierarchy and all that stuff.
Correct. But the hierarchy wasn't built or manufactured or
Well, it was. It's by strength or experience or size.
but when we were
There's always some factor there.
but when we were in the caves,
Mhm.
wasn't it the same way for us?
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Before society developed.
Before society. No, but there's always been a society. I
Well, that
think.
was very tribal,
yeah.
right? And very loose.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm getting at.
And then people started saying, this sucks. Let's make some rules.
and that's where it all got screwed up.
Well, because for people to live together, you have to. You can't have Wild West where it's like, I want to live in your house, so I'm just going to shoot you.
It's good. It's
But
good
in nature, that's the way it
and
works.
it's good that you brought that up because I think that I have this conversation. I have a conversation with S, and everybody who's on that I do with Facebook, I just say their first initial because I don't want to rat them out. But I have a conversation with S that's going on. About rights and stuff like that, and we have our different our different ideas about it. But he seems to think that libertarians are for, and I guess we don't explain ourselves very well. And you know what? We're really not out there. I mean, unless you're a libertarian, you wouldn't know. But some of the misconceptions about libertarians, and I happen to be one, is that we don't want any government, and we just want the wild, wild west. That's what we want. And it's not what we want. I mean, we want small government.
No, you want government, you want society. You just want to have the freedom to do what you want.
Exactly. We want the freedom to do what we want.
You don't want to be controlled by someone else's rules.
Yeah, but in some ways, you kind of look at it and you got to go like, got to be some rules out there, and we're not opposed to that. And I think that's how the Libertarian Party takes a bad rap, when it comes to that. But no, it was interesting because I wanted to tie that in with this little logic thing that I had going on. I'm thinking I'm gonna write a paper on it one of these days, just to kind of, I understand it more and I write it out.
Well,
but it is interesting because
as
we've developed, we've become, responsible, or we think that we're responsible for certain things. And me and George Carlin kind of agree on save the planet, but to be responsible for something that, that's
you don't have to worry about saving the planet.
Yeah. We don't have to worry about, save yourself, asshole. But it's just it's an interesting concept, man, and I like to dive into it deeper, and hopefully with these new times that we'll be able to look a little bit more towards gaining our freedoms back and stuff like that. But in a lot of cases where the libertarian, some of the far, what do you want to call fundamental libertarians, they're pretty out there, dude, because I definitely don't want to live under somebody who's just got free reign rule. I think there's a situation where things can get out of hand, I'm all for what they want to do is they kind of want to privatize everything. So if they wanted the government wanted to give you say they wanted to provide you a police force like they do, the cities provide police forces. Okay. But also they should be able to compete with the market, with the free market. So if somebody can do the policing better than the city or the county or the state or the federal government, then they should be able to do so. Hence the problem. And you got the Pottersville. It's a Wonderful Life. You got the Pottersville problem. So I remember me and you at one time talking about this before, and you're just telling me, it's like, no, I don't trust my neighbors sometimes. It's just like, it's like that, can't trust you to do the right thing, and it's like that.
Right, well, they're going to do what they're going to do. That may not coincide with what I want to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it goes with everything that's going on these days, the politics, climate change, the whole bit. Some people want to do carbon tax credits. Other people just want to go like, let them free and let everybody kind of regulate themselves. But, I'm not for that either. But so.
Well, most of the problems come down to money.
Yeah.
Right.
Who has the
Either
most?
not having enough money to do what you want to do, or having so much money that you can do whatever you want to do.
Money is freedom. I mean, that's pretty.
But it also is a tool.
Yes. But it's pretty much the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing. I mean, I call this my side hustle. I haven't made $1 off of this podcast yet, but I'm planning that, First Note Productions, the studio and the podcast, start making some money one of these days.
Oh, you doing this for money? I thought you were doing this for your social conscience.
No, I wish I could make this a hobby forever, but the fact is that I got a side hustle going on. I mean, you've got to increase your self-worth for something. I mean, right now that because the government shut down, I mean, you got 100,000 people that are not getting paid. Some of them are working.
Some of them are my relatives.
And they're not getting paid. Yeah. And they're not getting paid. I mean, that's the bottom line. Mm-hmm. So how long can you hold on. I made the cardinal mistake again. Give me a second. My lights are on a timer, and this is the caveat of doing a live broadcast. The idea that 800,000 people are not getting paid is abhorrent.
Yeah.
But in the same token, they have a responsibility that they signed on to when they got that job. And anybody who signs on to a job has that responsibility to say, this is not my job. I'm working for this person. It's that person's job who gave me that job. It's not my right to have that job. It's his right to give me that job based on my qualifications and the contract that we do. If he decides to get rid of me or not pay me, that's his thing. So in a lot of cases, I actually hold 800,000 people responsible for not being able to fend for themselves for, an extended period of time because they're in the government so far that in the last how many
to KQED today?
How many shutdowns have there been in the last 2 decades or last decade or so? I think it's been
three that I can remember.
Yeah, 3 that I can remember. So most people that are working for the government right now, besides people in the military and stuff like that, know that this happens.
Right, but when you take a job, you have an agreement with your employer that he's going to pay you for X amount of work.
I understand.
And also not to just fire you for good reason.
Yes, I understand.
And also there's a thing called wage theft. Right? And this is what I'm looking at.
Taxes?
Wage theft from your employer. If my boss, or if I was an employer and I held my employees' pay for 2 weeks,
mm-hmm.
they would go to the labor board, file a complaint, and I would be punished for
mm-hmm.
it.
Mm-hmm.
They would get some amount of money greater than what they would have if I had paid them on time. There'd be a penalty.
I've been on that side of the.
Right.
Been on that
there would be a penalty.
Yes.
So all of these employees who are not furloughed, who are going to work,
yes,
and not getting paid,
mm-hmm.
should be compensated in the order of like 10 times the difference.
Ooh,
that's a punishment.
That could be a punishment
to the employer.
We should be
supposed to deter the employer from pulling that crap again.
I would do that. I'd say that that type of mentality is correct, and I think that probably the Senate and the House and the President and everybody else should not be being paid at the same time. But these people aren't being paid.
Right.
And then the compensation should be at least equal, maybe a little bonus to it in there. I don't know. It's I'm
right. And why is the Secret Service still working? They're the first ones that should go. And it's like, now fend for yourself, old man. Have a blast.
They serve them all.
Yeah.
But when you get to that employee boss relationship, or employee relationship, you got to remember too that the employee can come and go at will, and
In most places.
in most
Yeah.
places, and
But there are
a lot of employees have left people high and dry just
Right.
at the it's like most of your bosses and stuff, if they're good bosses or anything, are gonna tell we're gonna have to let you go. It's you can stay till the end of the week or whatever, or
Mhm.
give you 2 weeks notice or some kind of whatever the case may be. They have to give you some kind of notice to get rid of you.
Mhm.
An employee can leave just for anything at any time.
It's true.
So, and as an
Well, it depends on
as
the
an
contract.
employer gets rid of you and says you have to go, I don't have any
No more
need
work.
for you,
Yeah.
no more work for you, or you suck with your work, whatever the case may be, and they get rid of you. Now you can go back to court and go like, well, I have unlawful discharge, blah 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 blah, a myriad of things that a lot of ambulance chaser lawyers will snap upon.
Oh,
but-
yeah,
but
yeah.
then-
and then when unions get involved, it's
and then when
crazy.
unions get involved, it's crazy. But at the same token, that the business owner, the employer himself, has no recourse when a employee just gets up and walks out.
No, none.
None, zero. So there's a big, huge difference there in how things are done, and I think that's into the mentality of what's going on with the shutdown. But that's another source.
Well, you
of
have to
things.
understand too, the employer, your employer, is making money off of you.
Absolutely.
What you're
Absolutely.
producing is worth more than what they're paying you, and it's probably, if their business model is any good, it's probably something like 3 to 5 times.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, there's a big difference between working for McDonald's and doing what I do, or project management is what
Yeah.
you're going to do. So, I mean, there's a huge difference between those pay scales and what things are worth. So,
Well, from what I've learned, in business, customer service, for instance, just like a rule of thumb thing is your intake, right? Your revenue generation, whatever, by repairing machines, service contracts, selling parts, whatever it is, needs to be at least 5 times what you're earning
Mhm.
to be able to sustain the company. Right. So there's those things. So if that criteria isn't met, then you have a reason to be laid off.
Yes.
But on the other hand, if you have the option to make more money,
Mhm.
nobody can tell you can't,
That's right.
unless you have a signed contract
That's right.
says you will work to a certain date,
We're right. Yeah. Exactly.
or you lose something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but there are businesses that go under when your employees do take off at no appointed moment.
It's trying to walk that fine line with your employees.
That's why you're not an employee.
Right. Absolutely. And the employee,
Dougie is a volunteer of the First Note Productions broadcast.
and in my last place of employment, the person who took my place has the same stress and the same complaints and everything else as I had, and nothing has changed. And now he's like, I got a job.
Oh, too funny.
Well, and that's it. And you try talking to people about this stuff too. Like, when you're in this situation as an employee, you really got no leverage.
Yeah.
Your only leverage is goodbye.
Sometimes, I mean, if you're good at what you do, you should have a lot of leverage in what we are.
It's
I
like-
mean,
it's
the
like-
company that I work for is really good at recognizing your potential and your aptitude, and we're compensated for it. I know that there's some employers aren't like that. I've had employers who are the same way, and it's one of those things about business, and I
Yeah.
still think the free market works. And that's where we're going at. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then you also have the opportunity to do whatever you want.
absolutely,
And the one thing that's that's tough too is a lot of these companies, even if you develop something that's not in their product line while you're working for them, you do it on your own time.
Mhm.
So I want to make a patent for something that I developed in my garage. They're like, no, it's ours. You work for us.
Yeah.
Right. So they,
I've seen that happen
yeah,
before. It happens a lot where I work at. So
yeah.
they know. They have you sign an NDA, right when you walk in the door, and
Yeah.
anything that you do in that office is theirs. Totally.
No, I'm talking about anything you do anywhere is theirs.
No.
Yeah.
I don't do that.
Yeah, I know companies like that. As long as you work for us,
Yeah.
your
Well-
brain is ours.
Well, Chris Hansen of NBC, he thinks that other people's stuff is his. So,
Obviously.
I don't know if you guys know or remember Chris Hansen. There used to be a show on called To Catch a Predator. And To Catch a Predator, what would happen is Chris Hansen was an investigative reporter, and they would set up mostly prostitution stings, or actually child prostitution stings is what they'd set up, and they would get a young, good looking, very young looking police officer, and have her act as a 13, 15, 17-year-old, whatever, young girl on phones. A minor, putting ads on the paper or advertising herself on the internet, blah, blah, blah. And they'd have these people, coming over, and it'd be a catch-22 situation. So, and Chris Hansen's famous words when the people would get caught is just like, he'd be catching them out the door, and he's all like, no, why don't you come have a seat? Well, Chris Hansen had to have a seat the other day because Chris Hansen, Catch Predator host of To Catch a Predator, was arrested Monday after he allegedly wrote bad checks to a vendor he owed money to, according to police. Hansen turned himself into the Stamford Police Department in Connecticut after a warrant was issued for his arrest on a felony charge of issuing a bad check. In the summer of 2017, Hansen bought about $13,000 worth of promotional items like hats, shirts, mugs from a local company, and then paid for them with the check that bounced. The owner and Hansen got it back and forth for a period of time, and in April 2018, Hansen gave the business owner another check, and that one bounced too. So police issued a warrant for Hansen's arrest when he refused to speak with them. Hansen told NBC's Dateline series To Catch a Predator until it was canceled in 2008, and he also hosted a spinoff To Catch an ID Thief and To Catch a Con Man, which I've never seen before, but I guess that's true. I've never seen them. But Chris Hansen, I mean, I used to watch this show, and it was a widely popular show. So this guy, it goes to show you that it doesn't matter how much money you make, you're going to spend the money you make. And Chris Hansen in a show like that had to be making, for that show, he had to be making 250. I mean, he was an anchor also on some of the newscasts. He's making, he's pulling down $250,000, $500,000 a year. And we pull down what we pull down. We're middle class guys. We're working class. We're pulling down. We're not pulling down $250,000 a year, $500,000 a year, but we live as we live. To get back to the shutdown and how some of these people, and I understand how some of these people are, living paycheck to paycheck. I did an article last week about how 80% of people, or 80% of workers in the United States, do not have an emergency fund at all. They don't have any money saved up for a rainy day. And you kind of make it wonder when Chris Hansen or something like that starts writing bad checks for $13,000. I mean, just how the mentality of people, when you start making money, you just spend more money. I mean, you adopt the lifestyle of the money that you make. Some of us don't. Some of us do kind of pay ourselves first, and that's one of the things I really wanted to iterate and go into this, because enough about Hansen. I mean, it's just funny that he got arrested after doing this show, and it's sad that he's passing $13,000 checks, but gotta be prepared. And I know it's hard for a lot of people to be prepared, but for the majority of people who are out there working and making a good wage, and there are those people out there that I understand that you can't have, every cent counts. And there's some, single mothers, single fathers out there in a bad situation. There's some other people out there in a bad situation, but the majority of us should be able to afford to put, $500 to $1,000 away in a fairly quick pace, and be able just to sit on that thing, and have yourself something, because shit happens. Life happens. Tire goes flat, tire blows out. That's $300 for my car. Probably $800 to put tires all the way around my car. So that's $800. That's like $200 a tire. So, say, anything can happen. So $1,000 can go real fast in an emergency situation. So
think about an earthquake fund.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. When you need a bottle of water.
Yeah.
And there's one person that has 24 of them in the whole town.
Yeah.
How much you think he's charging?
He's charging a lot of money for that water.
You got to have $1,000 or so in your earthquake kit.
Free market.
Yeah.
Free market working.
Yeah.
But yeah, we all have to be prepared, and construction workers or seasonal workers, other seasonal workers go through the same thing every year. They know. I've got some very good friends that are construction people, and they've been through these hard times where they haven't, worked in 6 months. I'm sure they've got, unemployment, but unemployment don't pay dick. And, so they have to be prepared. So I would suggest that these 800,000 furloughed workers, take note that you need to do some of these. They're real simple things. And,
well, it's not the situation everywhere.
Yeah, I understand. Right? It's not the situation.
I have a sister-in-law who works for the government, and she's a senior, so she gets well paid. She's a scientist, and she's a grown-up. And she said she's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Right. Even though she's got mortgage to pay, and a kid to raise, and everything else.
Yeah.
She's going to make it. But think about a TSA agent at San Jose Airport. Okay, living here, getting paid $30,000 or $40,000 a year.
I understand.
To stand there 8 hours a day saying, "Take your shoes off. Take your shoes off. Take your shoes off."
I understand.
They don't have the resources for an emergency fund. As a matter of fact, they're probably running in deficit almost all of the time. So
I would say
that's really hard. It sounds good.
It does sound good. It does sound good.
And the other thing too is, a lot of people are living beyond their means.
Yeah, exactly.
And whether that's their fault or not,
exactly.
Because here in San Jose, there's, if you're only making, if your total household income $60,000 a year, you're living above your means.
Yeah.
Period. Doesn't matter if you're living in a cardboard box.
Exactly. But there's simple things that people can cut out of their lives every day. Just to be able to stick that extra stuff like out there. I got a list of things here. There's 25 of them, and I'm not going to go through them all, but I'm going to go through some of the ones that I just know off the top of my head. Is that I don't know how many people I see in my office every morning come in with Starbucks coffee,
right,
or Dunkin' Donuts coffee, and they're paying, what, the cheapest cup of coffee I think is like $3.75, almost $4 for a small cup of coffee, right? And at the most, if you could get the big large venti, that's almost an $8 cup of coffee.
Yeah,
I see these people walk in every morning. Now, whether they can afford it or not, if you just stop doing one of those for 30 days at $3 a pop, you're well on your way of making yourself
there's your reserve fund.
There's your reserve fund.
Yeah. No, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And it's like, the guys I work with out in the field, I would always bring my own lunch.
Yep.
I would always bring my own lunch.
Yep.
Maybe once a month I'd go out for lunch. And they're spending $12 a day,
yep,
maybe more on food and drinks
every day.
Every day.
Every day.
And they're asking for a raise. I can't afford nothing, man. I'm broke. Yeah, I need more money. It's like, maybe you need to change your habits a little bit.
Yeah. No, like it's very easy to go to the store when you're grocery shopping and you buy all brand name products, man. There's nothing wrong with the generic products. Nothing wrong with the Safeway brand. Probably just as good as Hunt's or
and
I have
my I have my theories on that too. Now, I was raised by parents who were youths during the Depression. My father used to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to walk down the railroad tracks to find little chunks of coal so he could heat the house.
Right.
Yeah. And I'm seeing it now in myself and also in my parents' house. They saved everything.
Yes.
They saved everything.
Yes.
A piece of aluminum foil they used 6 times.
Yes.
I
understand totally.
To some extent. And then I think what's happened is we grew up with that. We saw that. Why he's so cheap? Why are you using the Chinese food soup container as a Tupperware? Why don't you throw it away and get a Tupperware?
Right.
Now, the next generation, right, is in that mindset.
Right.
Screw that. I want a brand new one. I want it.
Exactly.
I want it now.
Exactly.
Yeah, I want it the best. And then,
but the thing is that if you bought the best in the first place, you wouldn't have to replace the best all the time because things aren't made to last anymore.
I've found that it doesn't matter. Even though you spend the extra money, you still get a piece of crap. I'm sorry, we buy.
I cook on cast iron, my friend.
We buy toaster ovens 2 at a time.
I don't know how many VCRs did you ever buy in your life?
Well, I was a DVD repairman, so
I think I'm on my 4th DVD player.
Really?
I mean, seriously, I think I'm on my 4th DVD player.
Wow.
I mean, it's incredible. I mean, it is. I mean, things just aren't made the way they are.
No, they're not.
But
appliances too.
Yeah, but to get back to the fact is that it's, for some of you, I understand that times are tight and you're living in a deficit all the time, and there's ways that you get out of that, but we won't go into that today. But for the most part, some of you people should be able to just cut out all the crap. I mean, just sit back one night and list what you freaking buy, what you buy yourself, what you spend your money on, and then start taking a check and saying, I really don't need that. I really don't need that. And you don't have to quit them all the time. I mean, you just quit them for a while. Quit until you make $500 or $1,000. You can stick in your safe and go back and get it when you're having an emergency. I mean that's the biggest thing, and I think that all of us can do that, and then we can get that 80% down to 50%. I mean, really, I really think that it's more irresponsibility of people that are just in this consumer age, that are just I want, and I make enough money so I'm just going to buy, and then you've got nothing for a rainy day. And I think it's just crazy. But I wanted to say a couple things before we end the show today. And I got some very special guests that are coming on February 28th, which is going to be the last Thursday of February. I've got Michael Gaither, a singer-songwriter out of Watsonville, California. He appears on K-Pig. He does some K-Pig. My Night in the Garden concert series is coming up for those of you that listen to me here in South Bay and Gilroy area. So the Night in the Garden series is really, really special to me. I do it for a couple of different charities. The first one is for Alzheimer's. I might stay with Alzheimer's the whole time, but I've got different charities that I want to work into it. It's a 3-day concert series that is sparsed up between May, August, and September. Dougie, you've been to a couple of my there, and they're real fun. I got Blue House coming in. I got Michael Gaither and his best friends. I got Jim Fowler coming in to play those. And I'm going to be sending out an invitation for season tickets. You're going to get a break if you want to come to all 3 events. And I will be sending that out on a formal blurb off of the Weathered Soul podcast website, and also my First Note Productions website that it's going to be coming up pretty soon. But, I want to thank you guys for being here. Dougie's going to be a staple here. He's going to be here every Thursday that I can get him here. And man, it's good to have you, man. It's good.
Yeah, it's nice.
It's gonna be nice to have you.
Good. It's good to get out of the house.
So this is the Weathered Soul podcast, and we're coming to you from Gilroy, California, First Note Productions. And I just wanted to let you guys know that I thank you for being here. Go to my website, theweatheredsoul.libsyn.com, or you can go to my Facebook page is at Bruce the Weathered Soul. take you right to my Facebook page. You can join, or you can. You got this YouTube video, got Stitcher, you got all the other places. Say goodbye, Dougie.
Bye bye. Good night.
Bye, Dougie.
I'm gonna play my microphone.
And the new tagline for the Weathered Soul podcast is, for best results, squeeze from the bottom up. Goodbye, guys.
Good night.